Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. The quietest person in the room isn't always the weakest. Sometimes she's the one holding all the power. Most workplaces are a circus of noise, endless meetings, office politics, fake smiles, and the constant parade of people trying to look busier than they really are. But here's a fact that might shock you. Studies show that people who speak less in professional settings are often rated as more competent and more trustworthy than the chatterboxes. Now, enter the Sigma female, the coworker you can't quite figure out. She's not playing the popularity game, she's not climbing ladders with desperate handshakes, and she's definitely not faking enthusiasm at the Monday meeting. Instead, she's rewriting the entire rulebook in silence. And the strangest part, while everyone else is busy networking and performing, she's quietly making moves that nobody sees coming. If you've ever wondered why that one woman at work seems untouchable, unpredictable, and oddly magnetic, you're about to find out. Because today we're diving into 20 unusual things all Sigma females do at work. Behaviors so subtle, so brutally honest, and sometimes hilariously strange, that once you see them, you'll never look at the workplace the same way again. Number 1. They flip office rivalries into irrelevance. Most people at work can't resist getting dragged into rivalries. Someone gets promoted, and suddenly the whole office buzzes with whispers and comparisons. One person gets praised, and others quietly measure themselves against them. It's like a constant tug of war, where everyone's ego is on the line. But Sigma females don't step into that battlefield at all. They don't play the comparison game, and they don't waste energy trying to outshine anyone. Instead, they move in a way that makes competition itself irrelevant. The reason this unsettles people is because rivalries thrive on reaction. If someone tries to one-up you and you push back, the rivalry has life. But when a Sigma female doesn't respond, not with hostility, not with jealousy, not even with interest, it collapses on its own. She has no need to prove she's smarter, faster, or better. While her coworkers are busy chasing validation and bragging about minor wins, she quietly keeps her focus on the bigger picture. That alone creates a strange kind of power. The less she competes, the more she seems untouchable. Coworkers often try to drag her into subtle contests. Who stays latest? Who impresses the boss most? Who takes the lead in meetings? But she refuses to play by those rules. If someone tries to beat her at something, she doesn't even acknowledge the race. And that's where the unsettling part kicks in. Because what do you do with someone who simply doesn't care about being ahead of you? Rivalries lose their fuel. People end up frustrated because no matter how hard they push, she won't step into their little arena. This isn't laziness or lack of ambition. It's something sharper. Sigma females understand that real success is measured on their own terms, not by where they stand against someone else. Competing with others means letting them dictate your direction, and that's a form of control they'll never hand over. Their version of victory comes from staying in control of their path, their time, and their freedom. So while coworkers burn themselves out trying to climb past each other, the Sigma female sidesteps the scramble entirely. And paradoxically, it's often this refusal to compete that leaves her standing in a stronger position than anyone else. By making rivalries irrelevant, she turns her workplace into a space where only her rules apply. Number 2, they excel in invisible leadership. Sigma females have a way of leading that's completely different from the traditional title-driven idea of authority. You won't see them announcing themselves as leaders or forcing their opinions into every discussion. Instead, they earn influence quietly, almost invisibly. People naturally turn to them for advice, insight, or guidance because they have a reputation for seeing things others miss, solving problems without drama, and remaining calm under pressure. Their power doesn't come from a corner office or a fancy title. It comes from competence, consistency, and the subtle confidence that they project without needing to prove anything. In meetings, they rarely dominate the conversation. Yet when they speak, everyone listens. It's not because they're loud or aggressive. It's because they have a track record of being right, fair, and insightful. Co-workers begin to rely on their judgment, often before management even steps in. This is invisible leadership. shaping decisions, influencing direction, and earning respect, all without ever wearing the badge of authority. The fascinating part is that authority tends to follow them naturally. Others defer to them not out of fear or obligation, but because trust has been established silently over time. They become the anchor in chaotic projects, the calm voice during crises, and the unspoken standard for excellence. People who underestimate them initially are often surprised when they realize the Sigma female quietly orchestrates outcomes that affect entire teams or departments, all without ever making it obvious. In short, Sigma females redefine leadership. They prove that influence doesn't require a title, visibility doesn't require performance theater, and power doesn't require forcing people to obey. They lead because others choose to follow, and that's the kind of authority that lasts. Number 3, they withhold their personal life entirely. Sigma females treat their personal lives like a fortress. While co-workers casually spill stories about their weekends, their relationships, or what they had for dinner, Sigma females remain perfectly silent. They don't share details because they don't feel the need to impress anyone or seek validation through personal disclosure. To them, office small talk is purely transactional. It's about work, not connection through oversharing. This doesn't make them cold or unapproachable. It makes them mysterious and in many ways magnetic. People instinctively want to know more about them, but no one ever truly does. They control the narrative of themselves completely, choosing carefully what to reveal, and often revealing very little. Gossip and curiosity swirl around them, but it never pierces their carefully maintained boundary. By keeping their personal lives entirely separate from their professional world, Sigma females avoid the distractions, politics, and judgments that often come with blending the two. They don't allow emotional entanglements, office alliances, or personal drama to influence their decisions or how others perceive their competence. Their colleagues may try to pry, but the more someone asks, the more they maintain their silence. It's part of their quiet strategy of control. This complete withholding of personal information gives Sigma females an unusual kind of power. Without personal vulnerabilities on display, they can move through workplace challenges with clarity and precision. People trust them professionally because they are consistent and focused, not because they share a personal story that might create emotional leverage. In essence, their lives outside the office remain theirs alone, untouched by workplace chatter, expectations, or assumptions. That separation makes them unpredictable, respected, and almost untouchable in the subtle ways that matter most at work. The less you know, the more influence they have. Number 4, they're unintimidated by intimidators. Sigma females have an uncanny ability to remain completely unshaken in the face of intimidation. Bullies try their usual tactics, loud voices, aggressive posturing, subtle threats, but the Sigma female doesn't flinch. Power-hungry bosses attempt to assert dominance through pressure or micromanagement, yet she meets it with calm, measured responses that reveal no fear, no panic, and no overreaction. Manipulative co-workers attempt to twist situations or create drama, but her indifference quietly neutralizes their schemes. What makes this so extraordinary is that intimidation depends entirely on reaction. Bullies thrive on fear, insecurity, or visible discomfort. The moment their target stops responding, their power evaporates. Sigma females understand this instinctively. They don't need to confront aggressively, argue endlessly, or fight back to maintain control. Simply refusing to feed into the fear-based game is enough to dismantle it entirely. This indifference isn't apathy, it's a deliberate strategic force. By remaining composed and unbothered, Sigma females subtly signal that their boundaries cannot be breached, that their focus is untouchable, and that their energy is non-negotiable. The intimidation tactics that work on others become absurd when aimed at someone who sees through them and refuses to play. In practice, this makes Sigma females incredibly effective in tense workplace environments. They command respect without demanding it, and they quietly redefine the dynamics around them. Co-workers and bosses who attempt to assert dominance often find themselves exposed as insecure, overbearing, or ineffective. The Sigma female doesn't need to prove herself. Her calm resilience and refusal to react speak louder than any title, lecture, or show of force ever could. Ultimately, being unshaken by intimidators gives Sigma females a rare kind of freedom. They move through high-pressure, politically charged workplaces with clarity, focus, and power that others only dream of. And the irony is striking. The more people try to intimidate them, the less control they actually have, while she continues to thrive silently, effortlessly, and untouchably. Number 5. They refuse praise theater. Sigma females have zero tolerance for empty gestures or performative recognition. While most people light up at every compliment, award, or public acknowledgement, they see through the facade immediately. They don't smile and nod just to appease the audience or to look grateful. To them, praise is only meaningful when it's authentic, and anything less is irrelevant. This refusal to participate in what could be called praise theater sets them apart in every workplace. Colleagues who thrive on superficial validation find it baffling. They expect a show of gratitude, a verbal acknowledgement, a shiny smile in return. But Sigma females give nothing. They neither inflate egos nor feed off attention. If a compliment is sincere, they accept it quietly and move on. If it's fake, manipulative, or self-serving, they discard it entirely, often without saying a word. This approach has a subtle yet powerful effect on others. It forces people to be genuine, or risk their words having no impact at all. Flattery, half-hearted recognition, and performative praise lose their value in the presence of a Sigma female. At first, some may feel irritated or insulted, but over time, they learn that only authentic respect counts. Refusing praise theater also gives Sigma females complete control over how they are perceived. They don't rely on external approval to validate their skills or achievements. Their confidence and authority come from competence, consistency, and the quiet knowledge of their own capabilities. They set their own standards, and outside validation is merely optional. In short, Sigma females reject the social obligation of fake recognition. By doing so, they protect their focus, maintain their authenticity, and subtly recalibrate the environment around them. People quickly learn that genuine respect is earned, not performed, and in that lesson lies one of their quietest but most formidable powers in the workplace. Number 6. They spot structural weakness before collapse. Sigma females have a rare ability to read the invisible framework of any organization. While most people focus on their immediate tasks or daily crises, they scan the bigger picture, noticing cracks in processes, team dynamics, and even leadership structures. They instinctively sense where inefficiencies will snowball, where communication will break down, or where decisions are steering the company toward unnecessary risk. What makes this extraordinary is that they see these weaknesses long before anyone else acknowledges them, often before management even realizes there's a problem. This insight doesn't come from being overly cautious or risk-averse. It comes from observation, pattern recognition, and a refusal to accept things at face value. Sigma females notice the small inconsistencies, missed follow-ups, recurring conflicts, or outdated workflows that hint at larger systemic issues. They connect dots that others fail to see because most are too absorbed in performance metrics, office politics, or routine tasks. Because they recognize these weaknesses early, Sigma females often act proactively, offering solutions or quietly adjusting their own strategies to avoid disruption. They don't need praise for this foresight, and they rarely draw attention to it. Their influence grows silently as others rely on their judgment when problems inevitably surface. Colleagues and leaders are often stunned by the accuracy of their observations. What seemed like minor inconveniences to others suddenly become critical bottlenecks, and the Sigma female has already anticipated the fallout. This ability makes them indispensable, not because they seek power, but because they operate with a level of foresight and clarity that others lack. Ultimately, spotting structural weakness before collapse is a hallmark of their subtle genius. It allows them to navigate chaos, minimize risk, and maintain stability in environments where others flounder. Their quiet vigilance becomes a shield, not just for themselves, but for the teams and projects they influence. And it's one of the reasons Sigma females command respect. without ever needing to assert authority loudly. Number 7. They don't play the office personality game. Sigma females refuse to conform to the endless performance that most people call office personality. While coworkers spend hours calibrating smiles, rehearsing small talk, or exaggerating friendliness to fit in, they remain entirely authentic. There's no fake cheerfulness when they're frustrated, no forced compliments, no playing along just to be liked. They don't wear a mask to please anyone, and that refusal to perform is both disarming and magnetic. Their authenticity makes them unpredictable. Colleagues can't anticipate reactions or manipulate them with social cues because Sigma females respond based on reality, not expectations. They don't mirror moods to blend in, nor do they fabricate emotions to gain favor. That can make others uncomfortable, especially in environments where conformity and superficial charm dominate. But it also earns quiet respect. People know that what they see is what they get. This approach has a subtle but powerful impact on workplace dynamics. Meetings become more about substance than performance when a Sigma female is involved. Gossip loses its influence, flattery fails to sway them, and attempts to control through social manipulation backfire. They create a space where authenticity matters more than appearances, forcing coworkers to adjust to reality rather than illusion. By rejecting the office personality game, Sigma females maintain energy and focus for what truly matters: their work, their goals, and their integrity. They aren't distracted by the exhausting performance of social politics, and they don't seek approval to validate their competence. This makes them not only unpredictable but also quietly formidable, because influence and respect flow naturally toward those who operate from genuine confidence rather than performance. In essence, their refusal to play by these superficial rules is what gives them an edge. They navigate the office without pretense, and in doing so, they shift the rules of engagement entirely, leaving colleagues both intrigued and unable to manipulate them. Their unpredictability becomes a strategic advantage, and authenticity becomes a silent form of power. Number 8. They walk away without fear. Sigma females have a rare kind of courage in the workplace, the courage to leave. While most people cling to jobs for security, fear of judgment, or comfort, Sigma females operate differently. The moment a role, a boss, or a team begins to compromise their principles or drain their energy, they simply walk away. There's no hesitation, no desperate clinging, and certainly no begging to be valued. Their power comes not from holding on, but from the freedom to let go. This ability makes them almost untouchable. When others try to manipulate, pressure, or control them, the threat of losing their position has no effect. They aren't negotiating from fear. They negotiate from choice. That kind of stance changes the dynamics instantly. Bosses who rely on compliance and fear find they have no leverage, and coworkers who try to guilt them discover that Sigma females answer only to their own standards. Walking away without fear isn't impulsive or reckless. It's a calculated confidence rooted in self-respect and clarity about what they value. They understand that no paycheck, title, or recognition is worth sacrificing integrity or mental energy. By setting this boundary, they create a personal power that few can challenge, because people instinctively respect someone who values themselves more than any external reward. The ripple effect of this behavior is profound. Teams notice it, bosses feel it, and the workplace culture subtly shifts. Others may envy their freedom, but they also respect it. Sigma females demonstrate that real influence and authority don't come from clinging to a position or obeying unspoken rules. They come from having the power to leave at any moment and the conviction to do it if necessary. In essence, their fearlessness transforms the concept of security. They redefine success as the ability to protect their principles and energy above all else, proving that the ultimate form of workplace power is not staying trapped, but knowing you can walk away, confident, composed, and completely untouchable. Number 9. They force others to confront their own mediocrity. Sigma. Females have a subtle, almost invisible way of holding up a mirror to everyone around them. They don't need to brag, outperform aggressively, or flaunt their skills. Their excellence simply exists, quietly, consistently, and with precision. And that's what makes people around them uncomfortable. Colleagues who coast by on minimal effort, politics, or surface-level competence suddenly notice the gap between their own work and hers. This isn't intentional sabotage or ego-driven superiority. It's a natural byproduct of her authenticity and skill. When she approaches a task, she does it with clarity, focus, and competence that others can't help but notice. Meetings, projects, deadlines, all of it becomes a subtle stage where her capabilities silently highlight where others fall short. And because she doesn't make a spectacle of it, there's no distraction, no argument, no excuse. The truth of her excellence simply exists. Coworkers often respond in two ways. Some feel irritation, envy, or defensiveness because they are forced to confront their own mediocrity. Others can't help but admire her, recognizing that her quiet standard elevates the quality of the entire team. What she does is rare. She motivates and influences through example rather than pressure. She doesn't need recognition or validation. Her work speaks for itself, and the gap she creates is undeniable. The real power lies in how she shifts the environment without saying a word. By being competent, composed, and principled, she sets a standard that is both aspirational and intimidating. People can't manipulate her, outshine her through drama, or compete in the superficial ways they normally would. The Sigma female doesn't even play the game. She simply exists as proof that mediocrity is optional, and excellence can be quiet, uncompromising, and entirely self-driven. In the end, her presence forces others to face a truth they often avoid. True skill, focus, and integrity don't need applause, and anyone operating below that level is immediately revealed. Without a word, without a show, Sigma females hold a subtle, unshakable mirror to everyone in their orbit, and the reflection is both unsettling and unforgettable. Number 10. They refuse to perform fake work. Sigma females have zero tolerance for meaningless work. While most people get caught up in endless meetings, performative emails, and tasks that exist only to look busy, they see straight through it. They don't waste time crafting appearances or filling schedules with trivialities. Instead, they focus solely on what actually moves the needle. Their approach often makes them seem aloof or detached to coworkers who equate busyness with value. But in reality, it's exactly what makes them indispensable. They don't attend meetings just to be seen nodding or smiling. They don't send updates that nobody reads or follow processes that serve more to impress management than achieve results. Every action is intentional, efficient, and meaningful. This doesn't mean they ignore responsibility. They fulfill it in ways that are effective, smart, and often invisible until the results speak for themselves. Coworkers might mistake their detachment for laziness or disinterest at first, but over time, it becomes clear that their method cuts through chaos. By refusing to engage in fake work, they remove noise, prevent wasted energy, and ensure that only what truly matters gets done. It's a radical efficiency that makes them quietly powerful in any workplace. Managers who notice their output quickly realize that while others are spinning their wheels, the Sigma female delivers consistent, high-quality results without unnecessary fanfare. And because she refuses to perform for appearances, she maintains control over her time, energy, and boundaries, resources that are often squandered by colleagues trapped in performative habits. In essence, rejecting fake work isn't just a personal preference, it's a strategic advantage. It allows Sigma females to operate on a higher plane, staying laser-focused, productive, and unshakably composed. They prove that value isn't measured by how busy someone appears, but by the tangible impact of what they actually accomplish. And that quiet, efficient mastery is exactly what makes them both remarkable and irreplaceable. Number 11. They ignore ladder politics entirely. Sigma females don't get caught up in the rat race that dominates most workplaces. While everyone else is scrambling for promotions, awards, or the next rung on the corporate ladder, they operate on an entirely different wavelength. For them, a job title is just a descriptor, not a badge of worth or a measure of success. They see roles as tools to achieve meaningful work, grow skills, or influence outcomes, not as trophies to collect or proof of superiority. This perspective makes them unusually calm and self-assured. They don't play politics to curry favor with managers. They don't strategize around climbing steps. And they don't compare themselves to colleagues based on rank or recognition. By ignoring ladder politics, Sigma females conserve energy, focus on substance rather than appearances, and avoid the anxiety and petty rivalries that consume so many others. What's striking is how disruptive this can be to traditional hierarchies. Managers and co-workers who operate within the standard ladder mindset often feel threatened or confused by someone who succeeds without following the expected patterns. The Sigma female doesn't seek approval or validation from authority figures, yet her results often speak louder than the efforts of those obsessed with climbing. This quiet disregard for hierarchy makes her unpredictable, respected, and in many ways untouchable. Instead of chasing the next promotion, she invests in mastery, strategic influence, and long-term outcomes. She prioritizes autonomy, effectiveness, and alignment with her principles over the superficial trappings of rank. The workplace may reward titles, but the Sigma female defines her own value on a far deeper level, through competence, independence, and results. Ultimately, by ignoring ladder politics entirely, she demonstrates a radical form of professional freedom. She proves that true power isn't about climbing, it's about controlling your path, setting your own standards, and refusing to be measured by someone else's definition of success. That alone makes her quietly revolutionary in any environment. Number 12. They don't network. They select allies. Sigma females approach workplace relationships with precision, not performance. While most people treat networking as a numbers game, handing out business cards, attending every event, and trying to be seen everywhere, the Sigma female is selective. She doesn't chase visibility or popularity. She invests only in connections that genuinely matter. One or two carefully chosen allies are worth far more to her than dozens of superficial contacts. Her approach is strategic, not social. She observes how people think, act, and influence outcomes before deciding who is worth her time. These aren't just friends or co-workers. They are allies who align with her values, complement her skills, or provide insight she can actually use. By focusing her energy on meaningful relationships rather than performative networking, she maintains control over her time and her influence. The impact of this selective approach is subtle but profound. While others are busy juggling dozens of weak connections, the Sigma female builds a small but powerful network of people who truly matter. These alliances often become invisible levers of influence, colleagues who trust her judgment, mentors who respect her independence, or partners who enhance her projects. The strength of these connections comes not from volume, but from authenticity and mutual respect. Co-workers who try to interpret her networking style as aloofness or social disinterest often misjudge her. She's not disengaged, she's deliberate. Every relationship is intentional, every alliance purposeful, and every interaction calculated for impact rather than appearance. This method allows her to move through the workplace with influence that is quiet but undeniable. Ultimately, Sigma females redefine what networking means. They don't scatter themselves thin for the sake of visibility. Instead, they cultivate depth over breadth, quality over quantity, and alliances that actually matter. In doing so, they gain power, insight, and influence far beyond what the usual networking strategies can deliver, all without ever playing the popularity game. Sigma females are a force that refuses to be defined by titles, politics, or the shallow games of the workplace. They operate on their own terms, moving with quiet authority, unwavering focus, and an instinctive clarity that leaves others both intrigued and unsettled. They don't compete, they don't perform, and they don't bend to the expectations of others, but their influence is undeniable. From sidestepping office rivalries to spotting weaknesses before they become crises, from refusing performative praise to selectively choosing allies, every action is intentional, every boundary respected, every decision strategic. What makes them extraordinary isn't just their competence. It's their power to reshape the environment around them without ever needing permission. They lead invisibly, disrupt subtly, and command respect simply by existing authentically. Colleagues who rely on comparison, gossip, or manipulation are quietly exposed, while the Sigma female continues to thrive, untouchable yet unassuming. Their mastery isn't loud. It's measured, precise, and impossible to ignore. In essence, Sigma females redefine what it means to succeed at work. They prove that true influence comes from authenticity, clarity, and the courage to prioritize principles over appearances. They refuse to be trapped by mediocrity, hierarchy, or performative culture, and in doing so, they set a standard that others can only aspire to. To work alongside a Sigma female is to witness a rare kind of excellence, quiet, relentless, and completely unshakable. If this fascinates you, inspires you, or even makes you question the dynamics around you, don't just watch. Engage. Subscribe for more insights. Hit that like button if you found these truths eye-opening. Comment with your thoughts on Sigma females in your workplace, and share this with anyone who needs a reminder that influence doesn't have to be loud to be powerful, because sometimes the quietest presence leaves the most lasting mark. You found this insight into Sigma females as fascinating as we do. Don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss the kind of content that dives deep beneath the surface. Smash the like button if this opened your eyes to something new, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences. Let's start a conversation about these extraordinary women. And don't forget to share this video with anyone who needs to see how subtle power and quiet influence really work. Remember, it's not about being loud, it's about being unforgettable.